David Bay here for MuscoDevelopment.com. We are in San Antonio for the 2015 Wings of Strength Texas Pro and the inaugural Phoenix Rising Women's Bodybuilding World Championships, an event everybody is excited for. We're going to get started here, though, with our men's open bodybuilding. When we look at this lineup here, it's hard to make an argument for anybody other than Steve Kuklo if he's on his game. What do you think?
Definitely. He's a top bodybuilder, and I followed his career from the very beginning. Excellent. He's definitely going to bring it, I'm sure.
All right. Now, when we look at the rest of this lineup, there's definitely not just a bunch of slouches. I mean, we've got some really good competitors here. Most notably, we got Johnny Jackson, Robert Petrowicz, Stefan Havlik, and Michael Lockett. Now, all these guys have placed top 5 in the last few weeks, whether it be Tampa or the show we just had in Sacramento, the Golden State. That being said, we saw a better version of Johnny Jackson in Tampa than we saw at the rest of the year. Legs are still a little bit downsized. Is there really any way Johnny can walk away with a win over Steve?
I think definitely. I mean, if he brings in a little tighter conditioning, I think it's possible. You know, when you get a little leaner, sometimes those weak body parts just start to pop out. So you just never know.
All right, and we all know 2 weeks, definitely a lot of time to improve conditioning when you're already pretty close. I mean, as a prep coach, I'm sure you've seen that with your clients where, hey, I got 2 weeks, a lot can be done. You know, that the rest of those guys in that top 5, Stefan Havlik had a couple really good placings in Tampa and in Sacramento. Same with Robert P. Same with Michael Lockett. Michael a little bit off in Tampa from what we're used to seeing him. That's something we didn't expect to ever hear ourselves saying that Michael Lockett is off. But we do have some other good guys in this lineup. I don't just want to focus on top 5. You know, we have Henry Pierre Arno, beautiful physique out of Canada. We have Kevin Jordan. If you had to pick one of these guys, like say outside the top 5, like somebody was going to jump up into 6th or 7th, any favorites for you?
Well, I like Henry Pierre, actually. You know, he has a very classic physique. Great symmetry, great proportions. Maybe if he put on a little more size, he can definitely be a threat this weekend.
All right, and that's one of the things that we talk about every time we see Henry on stage. Like, man, the guys who constantly talk about how much they love classic bodybuilding and that old school look, guys like that are definitely going to love Henry. So moving forward, I got my list here, guys, and I have to go off of the 212. 212 seems like kind of an open and shut with Aaron Clark in this division. Even when Aaron is off, Aaron is still pretty on it. Is there anybody here that can walk away and take it from Aaron?
I like Aaron Clark myself, so that's probably my pick as well.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at this lineup, definitely some good names. We have Alejandro Cambronero, got 2nd place in Tampa just a few weeks ago. Really good physique, nice symmetry. We got John Meadows, who got 3rd. Derek Farnsworth, who actually placed ahead of John. Some other really good names. But if we're talking about a big story in 212, and not just a big story in 212, but a big story in bodybuilding in general that stretches all the way across pretty much the entire fan base of bodybuilding, is John Meadows' story. Now, John battled for a pro card for a really long time, came close, finally got to that Team Universe, jumped into the 212 division, which surprised a lot of people because John was a heavyweight, even a super heavyweight a few times. He's sitting with 4 points right now. Now, if John takes 3rd, now this is granted Aaron Clark wins, which we're just going to say that for the hypothetical that Aaron does win. If John takes 3rd place, he qualifies for the Olympia. When we look at this lineup with Derek Farnsworth, Lorenzo Jones, Bola Ojex, you know, does a really on point John Meadows have a shot at 3rd place here?
Definitely. I think he can definitely squeeze in there if he brings it on point and is sharp and full. I definitely think so.
All right, and as we know with John Meadows, he's probably going to be sharp and on point. I guess it really comes down to a matter of what the judges are looking for. I spoke with John a little bit earlier today. He likes this lineup. You know, Aaron Clark isn't an aesthetics, perfection type of physique. He's kind of a mass monster with a nasty, grainy look. I think John thinks he matches up well against that. So we'll see where that goes. Moving forward, women's bodybuilding, the World Championships. So this is going to be interesting. First year we've had it here. A lot of prize money, a lot of talk about this show. You know, obviously the Olympia, they kind of said, hey, not going to have it at the Olympia. Tim Gardner and the Wings of Strength people stepped up big time. We have it here. $50,000 prize money, the most that's ever been offered for women's bodybuilding, and a $65,000 custom Jeep. So obviously huge. Now, when we look at this lineup of girls here, it's definitely an interesting lineup. We have Deb Leszewski and Alana Shipp, your third and fourth place finishers from last year's Olympia. Obviously, Iris Kaya retiring, and Alina Popa with a bicep injury. Neither of those two are here. But we also have some of your big winners from 2015. We have Margie Martin, your winner in Tampa, Heli Trevino, your winner in Chicago, one of your clients. I mean, it's a really good lineup. How do you see this playing out?
Well, again, it depends on what the judges are looking for, and I think they're kind of downsizing the women's bodybuilding, and they're looking for a classic look, symmetrical, and femininity. So, of course, my favorite is Heli Trevino. She's my athlete, and we've been working hard over the last couple of months, and she took Chicago Pro. So we've come in a little sharper. That's the little criticism they had on her. So definitely we come in a little tighter, and everything's going to be really good. I think she's definitely going to take it.
Well, definitely a predictable move to see a coach pick his athlete, but as you stated, Heli brought a really good package to Chicago, and you hit the nail on the head. That's what everybody was saying, is if she really nails it in a month from now, she's a viable front runner for this World Championships. One of the other interesting names, Yaxenia Orican, former Miss International winner, former Miss Olympia. We haven't seen her on stage yet in 2015.
Yes, definitely. She has a lot of muscle mass. So, it depends what the judges are looking for. If they're going to go with the older style of judging, bigger women bodybuilding. But, I think they're kind of downsizing and going for that classic look with the small waist and just really change the face of women's bodybuilding.
All right, well, there's only one way we're going to find out, and that is tuning in tomorrow, guys. Moving on to our next division. We have fitness, smaller lineup of fitness than what we're used to seeing at some of these weights and strength shows, just 7 girls. We'll kind of just, brush over this quickly. I got to go with Marta Aguilar as my winner. Any of these names really jump out to you as far as the fitness competitors?
I like Marta myself. She's going to do really well in the fitness. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Marta, always one of these girls who brings exciting outfits, exciting routines, and really impressive strength moves. I remember a show a few months ago where she got on one hand and held it there for like 10 seconds. I think it's when we were in Orlando. It was crazy. I wish we had some video clip to drop in here. Moving forward into figure. Figure for this show, Eric and I had talked a little bit before the cameras got rolling. Interesting lineup in that there isn't really any big names here for figure. Your girls who were, top 5, top 10 at the Olympia, pretty absent here. I could run up and down this list, and you guys might recognize a few people, but for the most part, it's pretty absent a front runner. Any names that jump out for you?
I like the Andressa Ribeiro. She's a very good symmetry, and if she brings in some fullness, she can definitely sneak in there. So you just never know who's going to bring it.
Yeah, and as we've talked about before, it's nice to see these shows where you have the big names and stuff. It really gets the crowd going. But on the flip side of it, it's nice to see shows where some of those girls are sitting out prepping for the Olympia, and it does open the door. Now, remember, these are still Olympia qualifications that these people are going for. It is the World Championships for bodybuilding, but for all the other divisions, there's an Olympia qualification up for grabs. So we're going to see somebody who's not necessarily a big name here in Vegas in just a few weeks after walking away the winner here this weekend. All right, and I think just going to wrap things up with our women's physique. Now, women's physique, a couple girls that I think can be front runners. I like Sharonica Henton on this list. Anybody else that really stands out to you?
I like Marnie Hawley. She has an excellent symmetry and proportions. And I think maybe sometimes she could be a little overlooked, and maybe this show will be her show too.
Well, MD's guy, Peter McGuff, as you guys all know. Peter, a big fan of Marley. I know he's felt earlier on this year that she got a little overlooked. Let's talk a little bit about Ann Freitas. Ann, a very successful bodybuilder. And, usually the girls that we see crossing over, Ann's crossing over from bodybuilding to women's physique. Usually the girls that we see crossing over are these girls that we call tweeners. They're a little bit in between bodybuilding and physique. Ann was a legit female bodybuilder. Big, never had any problems with conditioning. Is she going to be just too much for this women's physique division?
Well, it depends how much muscle she's lost over the last few months. Definitely, I think some of the women's bodybuilders are going to be happy that she's not competing in the women's bodybuilding. But I saw her just half an hour ago, and she looks really tight, and it looks like she lost a little muscle, but she still looks pretty big. So I don't know, exactly what they're going to judge for. She's definitely going to be in shape.
All right, and my dark horse pick, I don't necessarily want to say dark horse, as she's got a great physique and always does well in our women's physique. Andrea Holiday, tiny waist, great quads. I think if there's any way you can, criticize her, in my opinion, she does come in a little bit lean. We saw her really, really hard in Tampa, and and I think sometimes in the women's physique, there is that fine line. And I would be remiss, as Bob Chick says, if I didn't mention Michaela Soto. She's been top 5 at Chicago and in Tampa, winning the Masters divisions at both of those. So definitely look for her. But with that, guys, we're going to wrap things up. Eric, thank you very much for your time here. Guys, prejudging starts tomorrow at 9 o'clock Central. Now, remember, this is a 2-day show. So we got prejudging and finals for some of the divisions tomorrow. All that information is going to be on musculardevelopment.com, and then back on Saturday for another round of prejudging and finals. We're going to find out who gets their ticket to the Olympia, who is your women's world bodybuilding champion. All right, guys, so once again from San Antonio, Texas, this is David Bay with Eric DeLaro for musculardevelopment.com.